Okay.
Clip this on myself.
Somebody will take care of that for
Hello,
you.
everyone.
Hello, Paula.
This is an amazing gathering. Very, very powerful. Tisa, thank you so much for your vision and your purpose to bring awareness within our community, especially with women. My name is Paula R. Amor, and please forgive me. Where's that young lady that just finished talking?
Sayonara, she may have stepped out.
I am so overwhelmed right now because we really need to pay attention to one another. No matter where we live, what we drive, who we know, what church we're affiliated with, or, we really do need to pay attention to one another. And I don't mean when a sister walks in the door, you look her up and down and that's it. But I mean, like, really pay attention. We were giving this thing called intuition. Some people call it discernment, but you can feel energy. And I felt her energy. I felt her journey and her struggle, and I felt some of your pain in here. But I want to start this off with a little piece that I wrote called The Haunting. She said it was my fastness that made him want to take action upon my assets. No need for gymnastics when he became the acrobatic that explored my body before it went on a worldwide tour. She said she would be the death of you. It didn't matter that he took my innocence at the age of 2. Tisa talked about where does suicide come from. Mine started with depression, and I didn't realize that I walked around with mental health issues because of what I had gone through as a child. I didn't know that my life was full of depression. I had depression doors. I don't know if you guys can relate, but things that triggered me from my childhood, that if this triggered me, there was a door of depression over here. And if this triggered me, there was a door of depression right here. And if this triggered me, there was a door of depression. So depression was all around me. How did I handle my depression? A lot of times, just like this water bottle, the bottle is full. Can I see your bottle? It's full, and there's a label on the bottle, but sometimes this is full with issues, deep-rooted issues, childhood issues, generational curses, and all kinds of issues. And what we do is, society has taught us to put a label around our issues. And my label of me covering my issues came through religion. I was born into a Baptist family. My grandfather, I'm a 4th-generation, they say I'm a 4th-generation Baptist preacher. But that's not what I consider myself to be. And I was told that you go to church and Jesus will make it everything all right. And you go to church and you pray and he will make it all right. So I wrapped my depression in religion. But how many of you know that there's a high rate of suicide in Christianity, just like other religions? And what they do is they don't talk about it, especially within our community. Well, how did I come to a place where at the age of 15, I'm prostituting on the streets of Atlanta and stripping in the clubs here in Atlanta? How did I end up with HIV and syphilis and cancer? How did those things happen to me? How did I end up in 2 mental institutions and a drug addict and an alcoholic? How did I end up becoming a teenage mother at the age of 17? How did I become a high school dropout? How did I become these things? How did I become homeless? How did I become so illiterate? Because of childhood issues. And growing up in a family that says, what goes on in this house? And we carry that cycle in our lives and we pass them down to our children. I remember some years ago, my daughter, she was 2 years old, and Tisa talked about the bathroom. Someone had said something about sitting in a tub or something. And I remember my daughter was 2 years old, and at this time I got the diagnosis that I was HIV positive. By the way, I'm healed of all those things too, okay?
Yes, yes.
So there is a God, okay? So I was sitting in the bathtub. I was living in Scottsdale, Georgia, on public assistance, paying $18 for my 2-bedroom apartment. And my second child, I had her from another man. And my son, he's 29 now, and he was 11 at the time, and he moved with his dad. And I had my daughter. And the doctors told me that there was nothing they could do for me because the syphilis had set in my body for so long that it was going to start taking my sight and my hearing. And I said, I'm tired of the pain. I'm tired. And so I ran some water in the tub, and I set my 2-year-old daughter on my lap, and I said, I'm going to drown her, and then I'm going to take my life. Talk about an intervention. Talk about the power of a saving voice. As I was getting ready to drown my 2-year-old daughter, which she's here today, that's her filming. Hey, baby. I heard a voice that said, you have to live for her. And I didn't know what that meant. But today, I am grateful that my daughter, that God allowed me to have a daughter. He sent her into the earth to save me. And I remember some years ago, we were walking along a beach in Clearwater, Florida, to be exact. We was walking on a beach, and I've always been transparent with my children. I've always told them the things that I have gone through as a child with incest and being raped and being kidnapped and being human trafficked within my own family. My daughter says to me, Mom, I want to be to you what Jesus was to his mother. I want to be your savior. And if my daughter could say that to me, first of all, that's a huge responsibility for a child to tell their mother, I want to be your savior, because of the pain that she has experienced through my life, which now she's experiencing her own pain because of the things that she has seen me go through. And I knew right then and there, I said, something has to change with me. And I later found out that I hadn't dealt with my pain. I invited religion in, but I didn't deal with my pain. I danced, I shouted, I clapped, I wore the garbs. I did all those things, but I did not do the inner work. I did not really sit down and seek out a counselor to deal with the pain. I got counselors to deal with the marriages I was in, because that was more important. But I'm here to tell you what's more important is you. Self-love, self-care. You making sure that your mental is on point. It's wonderful to be in relationships. It's wonderful to have marriages and all of that stuff, but we pursue things instead of pursuing ourselves. We pursue other people instead of pursuing ourselves and making sure that we become our own saviors. That is the daily thing. It's how do you save yourself when there isn't a daughter around? to talk to you, when there isn't someone around, a preacher, when you can't get to the pastor and you can't get to whoever, whatever your faith is, you have to become your own savior in those moments. And my saving grace is today is me finding out what is my why. When you find out what your why is, like Tisa did, I'm taking my why and I'm going to impact the world with it. And I believe that this movement, this organization will impact the world.